COVID is critical because this is what convinces people to accept, to legitimize total biometric surveillance. If we want to stop this epidemic, we need not just to monitor people, we need to monitor what's happening under their skin. What we have seen so far, it's corporations and governments collecting data about where we go, who we meet, what movies we watch. The next phase is the surveillance going under our skin. We're now seeing mass surveillance systems established even in democratic countries, which previously rejected them. And we also see a change in the nature of surveillance. Previously, surveillance was mainly above the skin. Now it's going under the skin. Governments want to know not just where we go or who we meet. Above all, they want to know what is happening under our skin. What's our body temperature? What's our blood pressure? What is our medical condition? Now humans are developing even bigger powers than ever before. We are really acquiring divine powers of creation and destruction. We are really upgrading humans into gods. We are acquiring, for instance, the power to re-engineer life. I know that in recent years, we saw populist politicians undermining deliberately the trust that people have in important institutions like universities, like respectable media outlets. These populist politicians told people that, say, scientists are this small elite, disconnected from the real people. I mean, all this story about Jesus rising from the dead and being the Son of God, this is fake news. Humans are now hackable animals. You know, the whole idea that humans have, you know, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over.
What's that? Well, just the World Economic Forum warning of a full technocratic takeover mass surveillance system that will destroy free will. But hey, what's that? Oh, that's a celebrity slapping another celebrity. Seems a lot more important to talk about. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Luke Rudowski here of wearechange.org, and there is a lot of absolute nonsense to talk about, as of course it looks like the President of the United States was just saved by the Easter Bunny. The situation in Russia and Ukraine gets a whole lot messier, with some people saying the conflict could last over 10 years. Is that the case? Well, we're going to talk about that, plus a lot more, all on this independent media broadcast. And because there's so much to get into, we're just going to jump right into it, as of course some people would say we're going through somewhat of a great reset that's going to need to be built back better after the old system is destroyed. As of course in the beginning of this broadcast we played videos from Yuval Noah Harari, Klaus Schwab's right-hand man, literally talking about the fourth industrial revolution and the reimagining of society that will be put back together by what many people allege are some of the same people who are creating the problems and destruction that is happening today. And I think it's very fair to say that there's definitely an economic destruction happening internally, with many failed policies being instituted by the U.S. Federal Reserve quasi-private banking system that has absolutely bankrupted and robbed many people of their wealth. This, as Goldman Sachs, another major financial institution here in the United States, is warning that the chances of a major recession in the next 2 years is going up dramatically, which admittedly, according to even Goldman Sachs, was created by the Federal Reserve's attempt to tackle skyrocketing inflation, as many of their experts are talking about how a lot of these price hikes are going to be permanent. And I would even go further and say that they are most likely going to even go up further than they already have been. This, as there have been many policies set forward, secret bailouts, disruptions of global supply chains, direct government intervention and overspending, not just by the Biden administration, but by the Trump administration and the administrations before him that have recklessly printed money out of thin air. There's consequences to be paid for that, and you are going to be paying for them as an individual, as of course Goldman Sachs is literally warning us that our best days are behind us, and that they, quote, never seen a setup quite like this before. With, of course, increased poverty, you could also expect increased crime, especially in major city areas, something, of course, that we have been warning about for a very long time. Expect crime to even go up even more than it already has been, drastically, as, of course, not only the financial but mental health crisis in the United States is exacerbated by the establishment essentially aiding and abetting it from my own personal perspective. In Portland, violent crime has soared 30% in a year, with, of course, local law enforcement there threatening that it's going to get a lot worse before it gets any better. And you have to ask yourselves, what else did you think was going to happen with, of course, woke DAs appointed by billionaires like this man that are literally reshaping the way our cities are run, secretly financing woke DAs all throughout the United States that, of course, have created panic and chaos. Now, according to the corporate media, that man impacting, changing your life because of the billions of dollars he has influencing local politics to where you have to pay the most extreme price for with your own personal safety, with your own health on the line. That right there, according to the corporate media, fine and dandy, promoted, cheered on. Another billionaire trying to buy a company in order to promote the ideas of free speech? Bad. Horrible. Oh, the crime, the dastardly evil billionaire. He, of course, needs to be stopped immediately, as, of course, there has been a full onslaught against Elon Musk by the corporate media, libeling him and attacking him, as, of course, it looks like his bid to buy Twitter was absolutely unsuccessful. This, as even Jack Dorsey is getting involved here, the former CEO and also another major shareholder of the company, who has been lashing out against the board of directors of the company, as it looks like he is on the side of Elon Musk, as he's literally subtweeting Twitter's board, specifically slamming them for their, quote, plots and coups that have been, quote, consistently been the dysfunction of the company. Now, there was also hints by Jack Dorsey that there might be a hostile takeover of Twitter itself, as, of course, he tweeted, "Love me tender," which some people speculate hints at a, quote, tender offer that would allow him to take significant control of the company. Now, will Elon be successful here? Well, only time will tell. We, of course, will be keeping a very close eye on this particular story, as, of course, you know, the technocratic takeover of our society and destruction of free speech and free will is an important topic that I think is worth talking about, especially in the face of all the crazy news coming out of China, which I'm going to be doing a very special video on later today on LukeUncensored.com, our own platform where we get to say and do whatever we want. And this is why later on today we are doing exclusive videos only available for members, not just about the crazy news coming out of China, but also specifically, there's also a lot of news specifically surrounding Alex Jones, which we're going to be talking about later on today, all exclusively on LukeUncensored.com. If you haven't signed up yet, what are you waiting for? It's our own exclusive private membership, private club, quasi-secret society. You literally get uniforms at cost with some really cool t-shirts, as well as 3 master classes, a 4th one on the way in development right now. Lots of things happening behind the scenes here on our own platform, where I am devoting more of my blood, sweat, and tears into almost every single day, more than I am on this particular YouTube channel for a very specific reason. The future is all about being independent and not a part of the larger dragnet, track, trace, and database total control society that some people are building in their digital gulag prisons that they have ready for you. LukeUncensored.com? We don't do that. Sign up right now. Click the link down in the description below to find out more. Now, in the making of this video, right now there is a viral video making its rounds all around the internet, and that, of course, is the President of the United States being saved from his rambling statements about Afghanistan by the Easter Bunny. President looks dazed, looks confused, is stumbling around, and I think this video is going viral for a very specific reason, as now most likely undercover Secret Service Easter Bunny agents are the ones parading around the President of the United States.
Pakistan should not, and Afghanistan should be people.
Oh, the Easter Bunny agent, Mr. President.
That's the man that got more votes than any other president in recorded American history to be the leader of this country. This, as of course, he's dealing with a very tough internal and external pressures to our current world order that, of course, a lot of people are skeptical of him handling correctly, and those questions are legitimate from my perspective. As, of course, Hunter Biden was also at the White House Easter celebration, someone that has clear financial conflict of interests inside of China, inside of Ukraine, and the corporate media has criminally covered up for when it comes to the very illegal things that this man has conducted and done. With such clear criminal transgressions, how can you have faith in this current system? Well, a lot of people don't, and a lot more are losing it every day with the larger proxy war that's happening between the United States and Russia in the Ukrainian theater that looks like it's going to be continuing for a very long time. This as more people are becoming polarized and divided, as today was the start of the Boston Marathon where, of course, Russians and Belarusian athletes were banned from participating in. Now, as a Polish man being born and raised in that country, I definitely don't have a love affair with the Russian government or the Soviet Union or the Soviet bloc and its history of screwing over my people, but at the same time, I think it's fair to say that I do have to say it's kind of ridiculous to exclude people because of the place that they were born in from particular events, discriminating against them because of the stupid things that their government has done. This, as it looks like the Ukrainian military has had some very significant victories against the Russians, as of course recently the flagship naval Russian ship in the Black Sea was sunk by one of their missiles, as a new photo has emerged allegedly showing this vessel sinking, as of course even Russian state television is up in arms asking the question, how did we allow this to happen? This as the Russian government still refuses to say how many sailors died in this particular incident, as other state television in Russia is using this incident in order to call for larger escalations by the Russians against the Ukrainians, saying specifically that the Russians need to officially declare war and not a, quote, limited military exercise, which the Russian government still states that it is conducting. And I think it's fair to say that there definitely will be an escalation here. It's only a matter of time, as of course this conflict, as we've been telling you, is dragging out and could potentially drag out for 10 years, as the president of Ukraine has come out publicly and said that he will not recognize the independence of the Donbass region and that, quote, Ukraine is ready to fight the Russian army for another 10 years. He's declaring no surrender and that Ukraine will give up no territory in the east to end the war with Russia. This, of course, was a significant request by the Russians to give up this Donbass region, which, of course, has been held by mainly Russian separatists. And with Ukrainian forces leaving the northern part of the country near Kiev, it looks like that they are reassembling and reinforcing their troops on the eastern front, as it looks like that they're trying to carry out an operation which would allow them to have a land bridge here connecting Russia to, of course, Crimea, which would allow it to have access to water. And it's also very important to note that this area in the east also has been an area where there have been a lot of natural gas exploration and alleged huge deposits of energy that, if they fall into the hands of the Russians, will help them significantly. So it wouldn't surprise me at this point to see this conflict last for a number of years, it being a limited conflict, just like we saw in Syria, which raged on for a number of years right now. It wouldn't surprise me if the Russians just establish heavy military positions all around this area and potentially stay there indefinitely, even for the next 10 years with, of course, small skirmishes, just like we saw in the Donbass region ever since 2014. As, of course, we've been reminding you ever since 2014, almost every 2 months or so, that there has been continued fighting, shelling, and attacks between Russian separatists and Ukrainian government officials all throughout 2014 up until this date. This is the region that the Russians want control of. They want a natural land bridge to Crimea, and they, of course, also want this natural gas discovery in this particular region of Ukraine. So from my assessments, I think it's fair to say that this conflict will most likely be going on for a very long time, and, of course, won't be ending anytime soon, as, of course, it looks like there will be a major stalemate and minor skirmishes that, of course, will be de-escalating and escalating, pulsing through the next coming months, as, of course, I would expect the Russians to only double down, hunker down, and to try to control these areas which are in their geopolitical interest. And there's, of course, some people saying that Ukraine is winning here, that the Russians are winning here, and I think it's fair to say that whenever you engage in war, you lose. I don't care what side you're on. Ukraine has paid a big price with its civilians being uprooted and moved, a huge, tremendous cost of civilian. Ukraine has lost their land, has lost their people. Russia has lost its people. Russia has also lost a lot of things financially, along, of course, with this larger notion that its military can't hold its own water. There's a lot of propaganda, but at the end of the day, we have to remember that war is a failure of civilization. It is a tragedy, and we should try to avoid it and de-escalate it at any possible juncture. But sadly, when it comes to the corporate media, when it comes to a lot of politicians, it looks like they're only interested in prolonging it. And that, to me, is wrong. And if you agree with that, share this video with your friends and family members to give them a perspective from this particular conflict about what's really going on here. I think it's important to be as honest and transparent as I could be with my own personal opinions and perspectives. Sometimes I am wrong, and if you think I was wrong, let me know why in the comment section below. I always appreciate the constructive criticism. I always appreciate the honest, real discussions that we're able to have here on this particular platform, even though it's becoming more limited by the day of what we could talk about and the subjects we could bring up. This is why, again, LukeUncensored.com doing another video right after this one, which I hope you guys join me for. I love you guys. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, and this is why I love you again. Stay tuned for a lot more here on wearechange.org.